So, Michael, of course, the movie we are reviewing today is part one of a long line of movies, or a franchise, as they say in America.
An epic.
An epic, which probably should have ended a long time ago. Or at least, nothing seven, in my opinion. And I thought, what better way to start this review in our, opening than talk about another franchise, which, again, is well past its sell-by dates, and talk about Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. And of course, Indiana Jones 5 apparently is being filmed right now, and it's being filmed in Newcastle in England, which is very fun. But apparently, I just saw this headline from MEN, which is it's hilarious. Harrison Ford pleads with fans to leave him alone as he films new Indiana Jones movie. A crowd of fans have been following the Hollywood star as he films the new blockbuster in the Northeast. So basically, fans have been following Harrison Ford around, and he's just like, please, for the love of Christ, leave me alone. I'm just trying to film a fucking movie. I imagine plenty of actors feel that way, but like Harrison Ford, he's not afraid to tell you, is he?
No, yeah. And I mean, the worst thing is, it's not just fans, it's Geordies too. Imagine having to be followed around by a group of Geordies.
Wow, a nice bit of racism to start the... So that's the thing. Like, to be honest, I don't know why is Harrison Ford even doing this? Like, he clearly doesn't enjoy acting. That's the sense you get. He doesn't enjoy the process.
Yeah, he didn't seem to enjoy it in the fourth one. Like, it was weird when he was doing the fourth one. It's like, he doesn't seem like he's enjoying this.
And now he's being followed around Newcastle by Geordies going, "Oh, look at that! Oh, it's Indiana Jones! Oh, I just fucking pack it in, go back to Los Angeles, man."
I never realised before now how funny it is hearing Indiana Jones in a Newcastle accent. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so maybe when Indiana Jones 5 comes out, his performance will be really bad, and we'll know why. It won't be because Harrison Ford has just packed it in, and it's just, being incredibly lazy. It'll be because of those Geordies annoying him, putting him off his game.
I think the best thing would be if he picked up the accent.
Yes. Oh, that would be great. Anyway, let's get into the Fast and Furious for our Fast and Furious month, Michael.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the beginning of this month's spectacular Fast and Furious. I don't know how to get that to work as like a June-themed pun, so whatever. Let's call it Zoom June. Fast and Furious, we're reviewing several films, and we're going to start off with this one, the first one. You know what it is, The Fast and The Furious. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about The Fast and The Furious?
Yes, Michael. So Zoom June, I like that. We are going to be reviewing all, the first three Fast and Furious movies. The first movie, which is called The Fast and The Furious, because of its 20-year anniversary. And next, we're going to be reviewing Too Fast and Too Furious, and we are going to be predicting what F9 is going to get, because that's what it's called, F9, on Rotten Tomatoes when we do that. And then Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and we are going to be reviewing that because of its 15-year anniversary. And we don't normally do 15-year anniversaries, but we're doing the first two, and I think it's good to make an exception to the rule because of what a great movie that is. But anyway, this is the first of the three, the first of 9 now, Michael, the first of 9, The Fast and The Furious, 20 years old. This movie came out in 2001. Of course, The Fast and the Furious is a 2001 action film directed by Rob Cohen and written by Gary Scott Thompson and David Ayer. It is the first installment in the Fast and Furious franchise and stars Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Rick Hune, Chad Lindbergh, Johnny Strong, and Ted Levine. It's directed by Rob Cohen, by the way, as well. The movie was released on June the 22nd, 2001. So yeah, almost a 20-year anniversary just before with this. And Michael, can you tell me what the budget was for The Fast and the Furious?
Well, I'm not actually sure about the cast because I don't know to what extent the main cast were famous before this film. I think Vin Diesel had been knocking around for a while in the 90s, but I don't know much about that. So I'm guessing the cast wouldn't have cost too much, but I'm also thinking this film had quite a lot going on in terms of car chases, like explosions. I mean, it can't be too cheap, can it? So maybe 20 20 million? You know, how many millions is it going to cost you to explode a couple of cars?
Yeah, I know, but then you have the actors and the stunts. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 20 million that would be really cheap for this movie.
Okay. Well, bear in mind, I'm also to an extent thinking like, I mean, I don't know how much inflation has affected things. Had that in the back of my
20
mind.
years ago.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so how much was it?
Well, also, I have to point out, Michael, that of course, Vin Diesel is an expensive boy, isn't he? He's very, very
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I can't remember. I guess he'd done some of the Riddick films back in the 90s. I can't remember what else he would have done.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the budget, Michael, is 38 million.
Okay.
And remember, you always go too low as well. So again, yeah, it's you can never go too high, do you? You never go too high, always too low, which is why it's so frustrating. Anyway, can you tell me what the box office was, Michael, for the Fast and the Furious? How much did it make?
Obviously, they made a sequel, so I'm guessing it was a success. It obviously made at least 38 million. So I think it probably made quite a lot. I don't know if it was like a proper tour de force, because obviously I think by kind of Fast and Furious 5, Fast and Furious 4 maybe, it was making big bucks. Like that's the point where, I don't know, at this stage I'm not sure if this film was making like huge amounts, because I don't know how many people would care about it who didn't have some investment in like the kind of... That's my thoughts. So I'm kind of going to guess what feels to me kind of low, but maybe it's not that low. I'm going to go for 160 million.
Again, you went too low.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, again, it's 207.
Okay.
Yeah, 207. So you were right, but you still went quite a bit lower than I would have thought. But anyway, you know what, Michael? At the end of the day, The Fast and the Furious is, like you said, it was a decent success, and obviously spawned a sequel and another one after that. Did not include Vin Diesel though for any of those two sequels, 2 and 3. He only appeared in Fast and Furious 4, so this is the first time and last time we're going to see him this month, unfortunately. Michael, with all of that said, did you like The Fast and the Furious? Did you like this movie?
I really go back and forth on it, because my main attitude is like, it feels like it's not like overly bombastic, and it's not one of those films where I can just be like, yes, this is a load of fun. But with that does come a degree of like slight competence. Like it's clear to me they're very much trying to make a real film, but I think the end result of it is that it ends up a bit less entertaining to watch. And for that reason, I'd probably say I'm neutral. Like I would say I didn't really like it that much, but I didn't dislike it either. I wouldn't really desperately want to watch the film again. But yeah, pretty neutral.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like, there are some elements which I do like, which are like, okay, this is good. This isn't like ridiculous Fast and Furious schlock, I guess, which, has happened recently and also in the past. It's better than that. It's better. But there are some moments, unfortunately, which are quite, like, ridiculous. Like, a lot of it, there isn't. A lot of it, it's like, okay, this is... it's not amazing, but it's competent enough. But there are some moments which stick out, and you're like, this is bad. And the thing is, like, that doesn't overwhelm the movie. It's not like you can't watch this and say, oh, it's so bad, it's good. It's not that bad. But it is. There are some moments where it's like, that ain't great. And it was a sign of things to come in this franchise, shall we say? But yeah, overall, like I don't think if there was any sequels, you'd look back at this movie and think, oh yeah, this is a bad movie. Because obviously we talked about it when we reviewed Fast and Furious 8. The Fast and Furious franchise has a reputation for, being basically ridiculous schlock, which is dumb. And I think if you watch this movie, sure, like I said, there's bits and pieces which are like that, but you wouldn't come away overall with that impression of this movie. So anyway, that's my impression of the first one. So anyway, Michael, nitpicks, how many do we have?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe this is an indication that this film had not descended purely into schlock at this point, because I've actually only got one.
You've only got one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I was watching it, and I was genuinely, like, about a third of the way through, I was thinking, I really don't have any nitpicks yet, and I was thinking, I only got one.
Well, you go first, because I've got two.
Okay, yeah. So, how does hitting somebody with a wrench until you physically can't stop hitting them not kill them? Because obviously he says, you beat some guy half to death. And the way, I mean, maybe, I guess possibly he's exaggerating, but he tells the story that he was hitting this guy with a wrench until he physically could not hit him anymore. Now, I would think if I got hit once in the head with a wrench, I'm having a bad time. If I get hit 2, 3, 4 times, that's really bad. If I get hit by anyone so many times that they physically can't hit me in the head with a wrench anymore, I'm not getting up after that. and even like a weak person, like a wrench is a pretty substantial force multiplier. So yeah, just I don't believe that you could possibly hit somebody any significant number of times with a wrench and not kill them.
Well, you should try it. Give it a go. See what happens. Yeah. Anyway, so my first nitpick. Dom says to Brian when he comes into his house, you can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona.
Coronavirus.
There's also that, of course, but there's also the fact that obviously the Fast and Furious franchise is synonymous with Corona. I was like, even in the first movie, he's like that blatant product placement. As long as it's a Corona, oh god, look, it's become like quite charming, I guess, over the years.
Yeah,
just hearing it in the first movies, that was kind of funny. Anyway, second nitpick. This one is an interesting one. So at the end, when the that autistic nerd guy gets shot, Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, you cackled there. Jesus Christ, you're happy about that or something?
I find it funny that you called him an autistic nerd guy.
I mean, what other way would you describe him?
Yeah. I mean, I found Jesse's my favorite.
I mean, that's what he is. He's probably autistic, and he's a nerd. He likes engines. But I guess maybe every autistic person's a nerd because he likes engines. Some people like trains or like Pokemon, or I don't know. What else do autistic people like in general?
Probably smearing their own shit on walls.
Well, that's just being offensive now, isn't it? Like, I wasn't offensive, and you just made it offensive.
No, to be fair, I will say this, I'm actually basing that on you ever heard the book The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime?
Yeah.
Yeah,
does the character do that in that?
Yeah, and that's like supposed to, like, loads of people consider that a very sincere kind of discussion about living with autism, and
you're joking.
No, it genuinely does happen.
He smears shit on the walls.
I think it's because like it's something like his mum abandoned him, and then he finds out that she sent him letters.
Is this kid?
He's like
10 or something.
Yeah, he's like 10 or 11.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and then his mum abandons him, and he finds out that his dad has been keeping letters that his mum sent him from him. So like keeping them secret.
And he chooses to react like that.
Yeah,
right.
And he's like so angry that he smears shit on the walls. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Are you kidding?
I haven't.
I hope you're wrong and you're just making this up. But I don't know. That seems like quite. I don't know how that reaction is. Okay, well, you know what? If I guess autistic people. Okay, right, fine. My bad. So yeah, maybe Jesse should have done that instead of. Maybe that's what he went to do because he's away from the movie for like a day.
Yeah.
But anyway, But so basically, the nitpick was when Jesse, when Dom goes to get Jesse's killers, the Asian guy, he should go to his right out of the driveway, but he actually drives to his left.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I hope somebody got. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah.
I picked up on that. What can I say? Because they come from the. Unless I can't because they go across him that way. Yeah. So yeah, they come from Dom's perspective. They come from his left and go to the right, and Brian of course chases off with them going to the right, and then you watch it again with his car. He drives to the left. So yeah, unless that's the thing because he does catch up with them somehow and somehow know where they are. So unless he somehow knew where they were going and just like I'll cut you off, I doubt he. I think that was a continuity error. To be honest, I don't think Dom is a god, or that's how the movie wants to portray him. Like he's smart up to an extent, but not that smart. Anyway, Michael. So that was our nitpicks. Let's get into the plot of The Fast and the Furious. So The Fast and the Furious follows Brian O'Connor, played by Paul Walker. I'm so sad that you died in a car crash.
I don't actually know what that's a reference to.
You don't know what's... Oh my god, that's what... We're going to play that. Don't look that up. We're going to play that on the next Cold Open next time. Anyway, so he's an undercover cop tasked with discovering the identities of a group of unknown automobile hijackers led by Dominic Toretto, who is, of course, played by Vin Diesel. And... Well, here's the thing. Like it says in the plot, he's an undercover cop tasked with discovering the identities of a group of unknown automobile hijackers, who are led by Dominic Toretto. So this unknown group are led. That's the thing. Like, there's always I don't really know why you would have to go undercover for this. If you think about it, because like the FBI guys, the LAPD, they already suspect Dominic Toretto. So why go?
Yeah, and it costs them a lot of money to be undercover too.
Yeah, well, why not just like Yeah, all the fucking cars that he blows up and shit.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of like, those Adam Sandler comedies where it's very obvious that it's just an excuse for him to go on holiday with his friends and, like go to all these fantastic destinations. This is maybe a bit like that, except it's going undercover. So it's like Paul Walker is the Adam Sandler and he wants to, have fun driving around. So they basically, to embezzle the money, they pretend that they've got to do this whole undercover operation.
Yeah. Brian O'Connor is the Adam Sandler of this Fast and Furious universe. But that's the thing, like, okay, if you know it's Dominic, or you strongly suspect it's Dominic Toretto, don't send anyone undercover. Just tail him. Just like have a couple of guys on him. Like, and eventually, it'll take like quite a while, a few weeks, but eventually, if your suspicions are correct, which it turns out they are, you'd have a situation where he's picking up some cars and it's like, oh, is he gonna hijack a truck? And then he does, and then, oh, okay, good, you got him. Like, I just think if you have a big, like, that's the thing, this movie has been compared to Point Break, and we're going to talk about it next. But the thing is, with Point Break, they didn't have any suspects, did they, at the police station or the FBI?
No, yeah.
It's like when Johnny Utah says the FBI is paying me to surf, it's because the FBI need to do that because they need someone to go undercover because they have no information about this world. But if Dominic Toretto is already a suspect, why do you need to send someone undercover if you've already got him? Like, that doesn't make sense. It just seems like a complete waste of resources, and it's why, again, Michael, we need to defund the police because they're just slapping it all at the wall. Again. Anyway, so that's what I had to say on the whole. Well, the big plot point, the big reason why, Brian O'Connor goes undercover. But anyway, let's talk about like the concept of the movie, because it has been described as this movie Point Break but with cars, and I don't think that's too inaccurate. I mean, the thing is, obviously you have some guy who's a cop being undercover, getting involved with the underworld and getting drawn in, going native, as one of the cops says. But to be honest, yeah, it is a shame it's a kind of a rip-off of that concept, but it does make sense. Because I can imagine like underground like car racing and like that must be it's kind of the same as surfing. Like, I don't know what other like underground, like, I mean, I know surfing isn't illegal, but like I don't know what other like underground niche communities you could have this situation happen where
Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, yeah, obviously not Dungeons and Dragons. Go on. You can think of what, like some like seedy stuff which cops don't.
Oh yeah, hold on. I mean, there's in the IT crowd, which you may or may not have seen. There's the famous Street Countdown they start doing, where Moss gets involved in Street Countdown.
Why?
So, I think, to be honest, actually, it's kind of is a direct Fast and Furious stroke Point Break parody, in that it is about like this idea, like he's got like a kind of Asian, I guess it's more like Tokyo Drift if it's like anything. There's like an Asian guy who's like training Moss, and then like this other guy comes along and he's like the bad guy and he challenges him to a game of Street Countdown, and Moss is like, is it dangerous? And the guy's like, it can get pretty chilly.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, what a stupid show.
And no, but there's the thing, like, obviously Countdown would not work, but what about, I'm trying to think, because you got surfing, it has to be something where you're actually traveling.
Yeah, moving around.
About, like, mountain biking.
Well, hold a minute. What about skating? Skating's basically just, I know, like, skating's just surfing on wheels, but so it's very similar. But I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, skating's for like kids though.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry if I offended any skaters out there, but
What about ice skating in like they make one in like Ottawa in the middle of the winter. And it's like, you want to chase me down the river?
Yeah, canoeing. There you go, the underground world of canoeing.
Or husky sledding.
Oh yes, husky
like
sledding.
in Siberia.
Yeah, some Russian. Yeah, the Russian version of husky sledding. Yeah, no, like.
Or in Tomb Raider, when do you remember in Tomb Raider when she rides the husky sled out of the cave?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that's great.
Underground. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. Like, I think in the Point Break remake, I'm remembering now, like these stupid concepts. Like they did like skydiving. I mean, I know that's in the actual. Original Point Break, but I think that was, from what I can remember from the trailer, it wasn't really surfing, it was like extreme action sports, that was it, and like they did skydiving as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously, this is more about cars rather than adrenaline. Obviously that does factor in, but anyway, director Rob Cohen was inspired to make this film after reading a 1998 Vibe magazine article called Racer X about street racing in New York City and watching an illegal street race at night in Los Angeles. I don't know, it feels like that's gone away. In the I guess the late 90s and early 2000s, there was probably like these street races, like, and you had like Need for Speed Underground. That was a big game back in the day. Now I just feel like that's gone away. And do you know why it's gone away, Michael? Do you know why? I have a
No,
reason.
why?
It's because millennials don't have enough money anymore.
Oh, that's true, actually, yeah.
You think about it, like, or the young people growing up, or like it would be Gen Z nowadays, who are like young enough to do this shit. Like, you need a lot of money from like cars, obviously to buy the cars. But if you don't have enough money, like you're just struggling to keep your head above, water because of your rent, or whatever else, like college, it's probably a lot more expensive. Like you haven't got enough money to buy these illegal, or buy these cars and do these illegal street races, So you haven't got enough money.
Yeah, that's true. Are you saying that millennials are killing the street racing industry?
Yeah, the illegal street racing industry. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Wow.
it must be, right. Like the only like who does this shit? It's young. I guess you could say it could be like drug dealers who do that shit. But I don't know. I think you need a bigger talent pool. You need like ordinary people involved in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they don't have the money to like get a really nice car, then that shit ain't happening. Anyway, so. But it's a good concept though. Like it's a good underground. Like if you were to make a Point Break rip off, this is probably the best situation. Like illegal street racing, you could put this Point Break rip off. Like set it in this world. It's probably the best. Basically the title was Redline. Apparently, Michael. That's what it was called.
Oh, okay.
But then it was changed to The Fast and the Furious. But anyway, that's the concept. I think again a bit of a rip off. But you know what? Of all the paths that could have been taken. I suspect it was a case that clearly like Rob Cohen had the idea of let's make a movie about illegal like underground car racing, and then from then on he was like, okay, let's incorporate the Point Break thing into it. So the plot: Brian or Paul Walker is starting out, trying to get respect with Dom and his crew. Goes to his first race. And I love how you have Johnny. Is Johnny Tran in that race, or is it another Asian guy? Am I just being racist?
Oh, okay, yeah. This is a really big, difficult thing. Like I don't want to. I mean, this is going to be a nightmare when we get onto Tokyo Drift. Like every single. Why is just the one character just always?
So I thought Johnny Tran died in the first scene, but then he's back in the second scene and the third scene.
Yeah, Johnny Tran just keeps getting resurrected, and it completely ruins the stakes. Genuinely. I think it's Johnny Tran.
There's an Asian guy playing. No, because I don't think he is, because he's introduced like. I don't think it is. I don't think it is because he's introduced after, like when they go onto his territory, and it'd be weird for him to be introduced again, like 5 minutes after.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think it's a different Asian guy. But I like how I just wanted to point out. I like how he was playing like PlayStation. Like in his car.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but the thing is that must add.
That's
some
what
weight.
Gen Z is doing now. They're just playing video games.
Exactly. That's another good point, actually. Yeah, illegal street racing might have died because of video games as well. Like I imagine that is probably a significant part of it as well. Like video games have just got so much better, so you can see in that scene the transition between the younger generation and what was to come. With the death of this. With the street racing. But yeah, I just liked he was playing on the PlayStation. Obviously, they have the race. Brian uses his NOS. I love NOS. Did you know what it stands for, Michael? NOS?
I mean, they mentioned nitrous oxide.
Oh,
but I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why it would have an S on it. I mean, I guess like
nitrous oxide system.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably, yeah. But it's like the overtake button on the F1 game. You press it, you just go like that. It's great. I don't know how like realistic NOS is, but I remember again playing in the old Need for Speed games, like getting NOS on your car, and it was like a great boost to have, and then it filled back up again. Oh, amazing. But anyway, Dominic Toretto wins the race, and we're going to talk about the racing action scenes later. We're going to have a specific like section for that, and he goes like, winning is winning, and you can't argue with that, Michael. Isn't it? Winning is winning. I mean, I love that line because it perfectly encapsulates racing and why I do like it. It's like, like the stopwatch never lies. If you're first across the line, that's all that fucking matters. And winning is winning. Perfect. No.
It's like it kind of gives me flashbacks to the "Say No to AV" campaign in this country.
Right.
It's like if you win, you win. Why have you got to make it all complicated with all these stupid voting systems that more accurately represent what people want?
Yeah, exactly. I know. God, that's a really depressing to think about our first past the post system in the UK. But anyway, Yeah, quite a
Or we could elect people with street races. That would be a great way to improve our political system while also bringing back the noble art of street racing. And of course, politicians are all incredibly wealthy because they're also corrupt. So it's a win-win-win.
winning is winning. So the police come to break up the illegal street race. I did like, by the way, how they had a guy watching out for the police, in his car. I feel like that was that's smart. They wait until the cops are distracted, by a murder. So it was so all their focus is on that before they race. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually did like that, and I think it's something which continues throughout the series, if I remember correctly. Obviously, in the later things, it becomes less about street racing, but when they do have street racing, they do have this focus on the aspect of the practicality of clearing the street. I can remember in one of the later ones, there's a scene where there's like people with motorbikes who are riding along, and they're kind of like blocking off different kind of roads, with their motorbikes to clear the street. So yeah, I like that. They do focus on the practicality.
It's it's good because it's practical and shit, but it also it reminds you that this shit is illegal what they're doing. They're underground as well. Gives you a reminder of that. So yeah, no, it's good. And I imagine as Rob Cohen, he probably watched the street race illegally, and that's how he probably got some info on that, because it's a nice little detail there. But anyway, the police come, and Brian in his car helps Dominic escape. But then they accidentally venture into the territory of Dom's old racing rival, the gang leader Johnny Tran, and his cousin Lance Nguyen. It's Nguyen.
I think it's pronounced Nguyen.
Nguyen. That's Vietnamese.
Nguyen.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're
apparently like 60% of people in Vietnam are called Nguyen.
What?
Yeah, well, it's to do with the fact that it's similar to how lots of people in South Korea are called Kim, and and North Korea indeed, and it's to do with like the fact that basically like some surnames become really, really dominant because like if one family happens to have like a load of sons, then they can just really spread. And there's like loads of people in Vietnam. I might actually try and find the exact figure for you, but it's like a lot of people. It's like your go-to Vietnamese name.
I don't care.
I'm gonna find it out for you.
Okay, right. Anyway, I don't care. Anyway, I like how they destroy Brian's vehicle. But anyway, just a quick aside, Michael. What a name, Johnny Tran. Johnny Tran. We talked about Johnny Utah. I don't know. It seems like if you have an action movie, you got to have like
a guy called Johnny,
and then a short like 4-letter surname.
Well, there's that film, TV series Johnny Bravo, which I've never seen.
Yeah, but
it's
5 letters, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but it's a similar kind of. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, Johnny Tran, Johnny Utah. Johnny Speed, that's 5 again. No, but yeah, Johnny's definitely like it's also featured in the Big Stick song Drag Race. It says, "On Mondays I wear my tube top and Johnny takes me to the drag race."
Okay, well that's great. So yeah, it works.
By the way, it was 40%.
Good. Anyway, how do these Asian guys, Michael, know that Dom has ventured into their territory? He was there for like 2 minutes. Plus, he's not even in his car.
He's not even in his car. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, like it makes no sense that. I mean,
the thing is, it's just an excuse to establish him. Like, this is going to be the bad guy in this movie. Oh, you're in his territory. It's just, again, like there are some very much some scripting shortcuts, and that is going to be a familiar pattern.
And I mean, it's compounded by when you consider how kind of ridiculous the. Like, so they have the street race, and then immediately after that, the police show up, and they have the whole thing getting caught, and then immediately after that, these people show up. So it's even more kind of ridiculous. It's like just happens to have happened, all one after the other.
Yeah, no. Apparently, the police show up because I think Brian called them, because one of them says it was planned.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
I assume it was his plan to somehow rescue Dom. I assume that was the case.
Oh wow! So yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's some 5D chess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was his plan to do that specific. I don't know, but yeah, he did. Apparently, the cops had it planned out. So there you go. Anyway, I mean, if it was his plan, like he planned it to perfection, that's a bit ridiculous. But maybe he was just like, on the off chance, Dom needs my help, I'm there for him. Anyway, so Dom basically likes Brian because we saved him, and so does his sister. Of course, Mia. But then we find out, Michael, that he's an undercover agent, is Brian. And he's working for the FBI, or a joint venture between the FBI and the LAPD, trying to find out who's robbing these trucks we saw at the beginning of the movie, like right at the beginning. And, Brian says he doesn't know whether it's Dom or not, but Dom will know who it is. And it's like, at this point, you realise, well, I mean, obviously going into the movie beforehand I knew, but it's at this point it's like, shit, this is Point Break. Point Two. Point Break Point Two. An undercover agent, gets too attached to the person they are pursuing and their lifestyle, and finds out that they are, the ones who are the criminals. But the difference to Point Break is that it's not revealed he is a cop until 35 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah, that's a nice twist. I think you'll take it. It's like, oh, he's a cop. Oh, that's interesting. But also, he suspects Dom right from the off. I mean, he's the number one suspect. Again, making the decision to go undercover pretty redundant. But anyway, Patrick Swayze in Point Break wasn't who Keanu Reeves thought it was at first. If you remember, he thought it was these Nazi surfers. Do you recall that, Michael?
Yeah, Nazis always getting profiled by the police. Can't they live?
It's so unfair, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. They were involved in a drugs bust, which is why one of the DE agents got so mad at them. But yeah, the thing is, they were innocent of doing the bank robberies in Point Break, and of course, Keanu Reeves, gets close to Patrick Swayze, and I had to get a bit of a go at the movie because it's like, oh shit, well, it wasn't these Nazis. Well, who is it? And then he suddenly, a scene later, realizes it's Patrick Swayze doing the robberies, which is a bit shit. But anyway, the point is that he doesn't suspect it is Patrick Swayze, and then he's like, oh, it is Patrick Swayze. Oh my god! And here's the question, Michael: which is better? Which is better? I mean, the thing is, you probably couldn't copy that aspect of the movie because then you're really ripping off Point Break. So you need to twist it around a bit that you already suspect him off the bat. But what is better? Because on the one hand, Keanu Reeves, if you don't know, and then it's like, oh, it's this guy. Like Keanu Reeves feels more betrayed in Point Break, and that can be powerful and emotional because he's like, oh shit, this guy I've got so close to, it's him, it's fucking him, god damn it. But on the other hand, maybe it makes more sense if in what happens in the Fast and Furious, if Dominic Toretto is already suspected, but then Brian, gets drawn in because it's less random, obviously, because that's the issue I had with Point Break. It's just like, oh, the guy you make friends with is the guy you're looking for. What a fucking coincidence that is. So it's less random, but also, you become friends with the guy because you suspect him, and yet after you suspect him, you still get seduced by this lifestyle. So maybe the way Fast and Furious did is more powerful. Which do you think is the better choice, Michael? Which do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because you could, in a way, it kind of seems like Paul Walker. I'm trying to remember his actual name, Brian. It kind of makes him seem more silly that he immediately is gets into it even knowing the suspicion. It makes him seem like he's kind of almost more impressionable as a cop. That even knowing that this guy is a bad news, he still kind of is like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. But obviously it kind of makes him come across as more of a rebel, and genuinely I made that Adam Sandler remark, but it really does seem like he is not that enthusiastic about being a cop in a way. It seems like it's almost like he doesn't seem conflicted. It just seems like he's genuinely just having a great old time enjoying these street races. That's kind of the perception I get of Paul Walker in this film. It's like he's just having fun, which I think is different from the Keanu Reeves thing. And the Keanu Reeves thing, it's like he's genuinely kind of torn up about his internal conflict. In this film, it feels more like his attitude is, well, I'm a policeman, it's pretty good being a policeman, but I tell you what, these races, they're pretty fun too. It doesn't really seem like he's torn up over this disagreement. So, that's, which I think in a way kind of makes it more fun and a bit more it's not as, it doesn't take itself as seriously, which I kind of like. But I do think in terms of actually character interest, Point Break wins.
You're giving it to Point Break?
Yeah, I think I will.
Why is that?
And also, I think the other thing is, I just think the whole reveal of him being a undercover person 30 minutes in, I think it just makes it seem like, I guess the problem is he always feels to me like a street racer first and an undercover cop second, which I think is just a weird route to go down, because it just means it doesn't really feel like his sympathies for street racing are particularly interesting, because it's he always feels like a street racer. We're introduced to him as a street racer for a long time, and then afterwards there's just this kind of extra thing about, oh, he's also a cop.
Yeah,
and to be honest,
I
also think the cop stuff is a lot more in the background than it was in Point Break. I think in Point Break there were a lot of kind of moments where they're having meetings at the office and talking to people and really trying to take it seriously. And this thing is just occasionally shows up to be like, hey, can I have a new car so I can go back to the thing I really care about, street racing.
He has a partner, doesn't he? Gary Busey.
Yeah.
Who's with him. Yeah, maybe he had more of a partner.
This film needed Gary Busey.
This film needs a Gary Busey. Yeah, so yeah, it does seem, that's a good point. It does seem because of the twist. It seems like, oh, he's already the first time you see him, he's practicing street racing, and so it's hard to imagine him getting sucked into the world. If it seems right from the beginning he's a street racer. So yeah, that's a good point in terms of how the twist could maybe devalue the Point Break aspect of the film, which is this undercover cop going native, getting drawn into this world. So yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. See, what reason? What was another besides the twist? What was the other reason you gave it to Point Break?
The other reason is just that I thought that it seemed like Brian was. His name is Brian,
Yeah, it
right?
is
I'm not being
Brian.
an idiot there. Yeah, okay, good. It just feels like a kind of lame
It
name.
does, yeah.
Yeah. So when I say it, I just like imagine Seth MacFarlane. But yeah, it kind of seems like Brian. Just enjoys being a street racer in a very uncomplicated way. Like with Keanu Reeves, it sort of feels like there is a philosophical conflict between like him wanting to be a policeman and enforce order versus the free spiritedness of being a surfer. And in this case, it just feels like Brian's just having a good time. Like I never really get the impression he's like tearing himself up.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. So a lack of interest in his character, basically, or like, he's a very one-dimensional character. Isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I do. I mean, it's not really down to like the specifics of like the plot structure. It's just like how good a character Brian is compared to how good a character Keanu Reeves is. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's interesting to debate, but I think you made a good good point. Although it is beside the plot structure thing, which I asked you about, but you made a good point. Two good reasons why Keanu Reeves is character falling in with fucking Bodhi, that was it, or Patrick Swayze, is better than this movie. Yeah, just because basically the character. Yeah, again, the twist kind of devalues his I guess jumping into this world of underground illegal street racing, and also throughout the movie he doesn't seem that conflicted. He seems like, oh yeah, I can do this street racing thing all day easily. You don't you have that again, that sort of conflict in Point Break, like you say, between the law and order aspect of Keanu Reeves and the fact that surfing, it's like you're free, you're on the waves, it's like, oh dude, I'm out here like surfing, it's fucking great, so I you make a good point there as well, Michael. So anyway, we'll get back to the plot of the movie. So obviously this Latino guy, Hector, is buying like Honda Civic parts. I don't. How did Brian? This is something I put down here. How did Brian get this job, by the way, working in this?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And his boss apparently steals like Johnny Trans engines, and that's a plot point which never goes anywhere. Anyway, but I don't know how did Brian get this job? Like, did the police manage to swing it for him so it would fit? I don't know. Anyway, he sees and puts the Latino guy puts stuff on his car and this decides to break in at night. And as he's getting out, he checks the tires to see if they're the same tires that have been robbing the trucks, and they're not. So he's getting out, and all of a sudden, Dom and Vince confront him, and they are just randomly there outside. Like, firstly, Michael, why are they there? Why? Tell me, because they weren't in the establishing shots beforehand, right? They were just there. And next, how did they see him as well? Like, he was trying to be as secretive as possible. And it's such a bunch of I'm talking about Brian was, and it's such a bunch of BS how they fucking managed to catch him. Like, I mean, what do Dom and like fucking Vince do? They hang around like rival garages at night to make sure nobody breaks in. Like, they say, oh, we saw your car, so we went. Oh, that's what it says in Wikipedia, at least, because I checked. But like, surely you'd see his car and be like, hey, go to Hector. Like, hey, is Brian around? Because that's his car there.
Yeah.
And oh no, I haven't seen him. So. Oh shit! Well, where could he be? Like, not like I'm going to fucking, I'm because obviously they don't ask Hector because Hector doesn't know, because I imagine Hector would be very angry then and be with them if he found out that Brian was breaking into his fucking garage. But yeah, again, like, why do they think? And here's a second point, because obviously they were doing the illegal shit. Hector wasn't doing any illegal shit. Why would? I mean, apart from illegal drag racing, but like, I don't know why you'd need to break into a fucking. Why would you break into the garage if you were, trying to pin him up for illegal drag racing? But yeah, why would they think he's a cop after breaking into that place? Why would?
I found that really weird, like that whole, and it's strange because they're like, oh, he's a cop. And then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess you're not actually. So it's like they were very confident he was a cop based on poor evidence.
But what was the evidence? Why would they think he's a cop?
Well, I mean, I guess when I say poor evidence, I really mean no evidence.
Yeah.
Because, there's not really any reason for it.
Yeah, because they're the ones doing the illegal shit. Hector isn't, as far as we're aware, of course. But, like, why would they think, oh, because you're breaking it's because it's because he actually is a cop, and we have to give the audience a fright. It's like, oh, we want to make the audience think that Dom and Vince know he's a cop and the jig could be up. But anyway, he convinces them, of course, by saying that, oh no, it's actually he's actually going there to see the equipment, basically. That's it. Like, he's he wants to check out the equipment because of Race Wars or whatever. And I guess Dominic is convinced by this explanation because he then goes to Johnny Tran's garage to check out his competitors for Race Wars. So they went from thinking he's a cop to them being like, actually, you know what, this is a pretty good idea, Brian. Breaking into people's garages to check on their cars. Let's do the same, but for our other competitor, Johnny Tran. And some might say it's just a convenient way to get Brian to see all the Panasonic tech, so he suspects it's Johnny Tran and the rest of the Asians doing the heists. But I don't know, Michael. I think it's just, again, it's just because there was such a good argument, wasn't it, that Brian made, right?
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really funny because it does just make it feel like they're very quick to go along with him, like, and like I say, from suspecting him quite strongly, being very angry in their suspicions, to then being like, well, as you said, just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just go along with what you want, yeah. And it does feel kind of very artificial in terms of just creating the beats of the plot that the film wants to happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's some beats this film wants to hit, and it doesn't put any effort into hitting those beats. Well, that's the thing, like, Brian needs to, like, I guess, tick off, that's the best way to describe it, like, the Asians and the Latinos. Like, oh, it can't be the Latinos because I'm going to break into their garage and see what ties they are. Okay, it's not them. Well, oh, maybe it's the Latinos. Oh, we have some equipment at their garage, so it could be them. So let's call in the FBI to arrest them. Oh, it's not them, so I guess that must be Dom. Like, it's like, and they do it in just the most, like, haphazard way possible. So anyway, Brian goes back to his superiors, and we have this conflict where they think the guy stealing the tech equipment could be Dom, but Brian doesn't think so. He thinks he has too much self-control. So the superior officer shows him a picture of a guy Dom beat up to show his lack of control. That was your nitpick, Michael, that you were referencing in the at the start.
Yes.
So maybe Dom could be the one stealing stuff, But then, literally, in the very next scene, Dom takes Brian over to his house to tell him about the death of his dad and explains to him why he beat up this guy. It's because he killed his dad in a racing accident. And again, it's just such shoddy screenwriting, just so lazy. It's like, because this movie wants to try and keep you on your feet all along about whether it's Dom or not, or what to feel about Dom, basically. Is he a guy out of control or not? So it's like, maybe it is Dom. Look, he beat up this guy and nearly killed him, so it shows he can do some pretty nefarious stuff. But literally in the next scene, it's like, but then again, he did have a good reason to beat him up, so a very very powerful emotional reason. It's just like such awful, lazy screenwriting to get from one.
It's very, like, it's just back and forth. It's like this, but maybe this, but no, maybe this.
Again, like, you don't at least wait like a couple of scenes. It's like the very next scene. Oh shit, maybe it is Dom. Actually, no. I mean, he killed his dad, so come on. Yeah, again, just very poor Michael. Getting from one plot point to the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the FBI arrests Johnny Tran, but they find nothing. The FBI are therefore convinced that Dom is doing the hijacking, and again, they think Brian isn't convinced because he likes his sister Mia. So they give him, I think it's like 36 hours or something. So Brian basically goes to Dom like, hey, let me in whatever you have going on. I like that. It's just such a he's tried like the smart tactics of getting on his good side. He's just like, come on, you're doing some illegal stuff. Let me know what's going on. Come on.
Yeah, it is. I really like that too. And it's like his strategy is just to be angry about it. It's like, it
last throw
it
the
reminds
dice,
me of
as it were. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's
the Hail Mary, as it were, in the football term. Just right. I've tried to be smart. I'm just going to go up to him and say, fucking...
And I bet it really, afterwards he was really frustrated. He was just thinking, so that's all I had to do all along. Well, shit.
Yeah. The thing is, he says to Dom, look, I know you didn't get all that money from fucking fixing cars or whatever, but surely Dom could say, well, it's all the money I got from those illegal drag races. I make a lot of money that way. I mean, surely that got him some cash. That's the thing, like, illegal street racing is illegal and shit, so, and I guess, it happens so often, that you need, I don't know, you need something more, that Dom is doing. You need something more, for example, he's robbing trucks. You need something he's doing more illegal than just illegal street races. But like he could make plenty of money just street racing illegally. That's the thing. But anyway, Dom says to Brian, let's see how you do at Race Wars. And I like this bit. Do you remember, Michael, when Dom hands him a piece of paper? And Brian goes like, what's this? And he's like, oh, yeah, here's the directions to Race Wars. And he's like, he was already competing in Race Wars, wasn't he? Like, I assume he already knew where it was going to be. It just seems like such a pointless thing to do. Unless, like, in a previous version of the script, like, Dom hadn't told him he was going to race in Race Wars, and now
Yeah.
he is. But again, just lazy.
Yeah, because I found that so strange, because it is, literally like they bring up the Race Wars thing earlier, and then they bring it up later on as if it's a kind of new development.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. It's like, you're going to be racing in Race Wars. Here's the directions. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, I already know that. I looked it up earlier. Don't worry. But anyway,
Yeah, Google Maps.
So Race Wars happens, and in the middle of the night, the team take off, Dom and Co to do one last big heist. Again, just very predictable. It's like, oh yeah, just one more before we get on vacation. And I have to say though, it's quite dramatic. I'll give the movie credit. You have Vince holding on for his life and all that, and I just have to say that truck driver is like crazy. He just like wants to murder them all. And I don't know about you, I was like, this guy's just a normal truck driver, but he's like fucking shooting them when they're trying to rescue their friend. Like, I don't know, I feel like that truck driver, he was he was out, he wanted to kill somebody that day. He woke up wanting, like, it wasn't just a case of I'm defending my truck. It was like, nah, I want to fucking kill somebody. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, in America they have the stand your ground laws. That truck driver's the kind of guy who'd like follow a black teenager down a dark alleyway with his gun, like. And then when he gets approached, he'd shoot and be like, "Oh, I was just defending myself." That's the kind of guy he is. The kind of guy who like buys a load of guns in his house and just hopes somebody breaks in, and just is like really angry that no one's doing it.
Yeah,
it's like finally.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, oh, finally. I mean, maybe he's got robbed before. I don't know. It's like, oh, fucking yes, finally, I get to. That's the thing. He like when the fucking Vince like has his fucking what's it like harpoon? He harpoons the chair. Like the guy doesn't shoot immediately with the shotgun to warn him off. Like he waits until he's on the truck before shooting him. Like instead of just getting his shotgun out right away, it's like, right, I'm gonna wait until you jump on my truck and then shoot you, instead of like shooting you and like getting you to scram immediately. It's quite funny. He definitely wanted to kill somebody. It just wasn't for self-defense. But anyway, we get a good reveal when Dom finds out that Brian is a cop, because it was obviously eventually going to happen, and I do like the fact that it happened because basically he had to do it to save Vince's life, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of tension there. That's good. You can tell it's good. Like it could have been done in a much worse way, couldn't it, Michael?
No, yeah, and I thought it was almost like emotionally interesting, because it's like, obviously he has just saved his life, and then you just got Vin Diesel like sat there looking like angry, but also like kind of not really being able to express how pissed off he is in that moment, because obviously he knows that his buddy is on death's door, and that obviously he needs to be rescued. So he just sat like, okay, I'm angry, but
no, I think do you agree? Like it's a good 10 minutes. You agree with the truck thing? It's got some good tension, because here's the thing: you think Vince could die because he's like not one of the main characters, and he's
definitely. And I mean, he's been set up as kind of like an arsehole.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like
he's a dick. So like, it would not be surprising if he did die. So you generally, he might die, he might not die, and eventually, of course, he doesn't. But yeah, no, I think that was a very good, strong 10 minutes. Again, that's the thing. Like that's a major action scene in this movie, and this is why I think it's it's not that incompetent, because it's like, that was good. Like, I'm sorry, that was decent. I'll take that. Sadly, what happens next, I don't think was that decent. So the weird. I called him before an autistic nerd. I've written in my notes, weird autistic nerd. So God, I'm really harsh on this guy, Jesse. But yeah, Jesse gets drive-by shot by the Asians.
Well, the thing is, I found it funny before then how he goes into that race and then just loses, and he just loses, and it's just really funny. Like the idea of like people. I just find it really funny, the idea of people entering into like these street races and then just losing, and just like it's like, well, you must have realized that was a possibility. It's like they can't even handle the fact they just lost.
But this
it's
guy is
like,
an autistic nerd, though. No, it's just a weird autistic nerd. He doesn't understand the concept of losing. There you go. Yeah, exactly. That's his excuse.
He's just
but immediately, like, it's just poor Jesse, man. He's like. Like Dom's like, he's all I have, and it's like he just gets fucking. And then no character ever speaks about him ever again for the rest of the franchise. For the rest of the 7 movies, that's it. He's done. He gets shot. It's over. At least I think so. Because of course, like Dom never like talks about him again or whatever. Like, and that's it. He's just he's an interesting.
He's
just dead. It's like everybody just forgets he existed. Anyway, But, so the Asians, of course, do the drive-by shooting, and Brian chases after them. And again, they're such bad shots, the Asian guys. Like not one of them can hit Brian's car. Because the guy, he's spraying behind, isn't he? He's like spraying, and he's hitting all the cars to the left and right of him. He can't just fucking hit the big fucking yellow car in the middle, because he's a.
I know, yeah. It's
yeah.
stormtrooper.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, so Brian shoots one down and Dom gets the other, again in a bit of a shitty way. Again, I don't know how he managed to cut him off. Again, just a bit of lazy writing there, I guess. But yeah, he kills another one, does Brian, and then he goes up to meet with Dom. I don't know why like he does this instead of like attending to the guy he just killed. He's just like, I need to catch up with Dom because I need to do one final drag race with him. Because the thing is, he lets him go at the end anyway, so I don't really know. Like, why does he... Tell me, Mike, why does he catch up with him?
Well, I mean, I was saying before how it seems like he's in it for the drag racing. Like, that's where his enthusiasm lies.
Yeah.
And that almost, it does seem to be the case from this.
It does seem to be the case, yeah. But anyway, I think the reason why Dom does it is because maybe, he wants to do the drag race because it is his last chance to do that before he goes to prison, take his dad's car out for a drag race. But yeah, I don't know why Brian is participating in it. I guess maybe to show how far he is riding with Dom, perhaps, like he's gone all the way. But anyway, the race ends with a draw, of course, showing how Brian's caught up to Dom, I guess. But yeah, there's so much BS with the train again, man. Like, of course they have to just beat the train. It's just such a ridiculous BS ending. Like, the camera is going like slow-mo and it's like blurring as well. Like, they're out of focus. And it feels like, it could have been like a decent enough ending. I mean, it's still pretty ridiculous, but then you just had to go so over the top with it, man. Just with the fucking train. You just had to make it ridiculous. And then just to add to the whole ridiculousness, Dom flips over a truck and just like he does this flip, like he just hits it smack bang on and he just gets out with some bruises. Like he should be dead, Michael. Again, it's like there's no need for that at the end. I guess there is a need, I guess, to total his car so Brian can give him the keys, but like it just again, like there's no need, I guess, for such a severe crash maybe, and he just gets out oh yeah, I'll shake it off, it's fine. You should have
it feels kind of like an analogy for where the series was going, like that one particular moment, just like a massive crash, and then just gets up and it's like, yep, no problem, just completely pointless.
Yeah, the thing is, like, they have that moment before. Oh yeah, that's it. Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, has a big crash and she gets out. I don't think the crash was as big. Like, I think her tire gets blown out or something. Oh no, I think she does flip. Remember when they're on the highway later on? Yeah, and she goes off, but she does stumble out of the car and she needs help. Like, Dom just like gets out, like just like it's nothing.
It's because he's a man.
Yeah, because he's a man, I guess. Anyway, so of course then Brian lets him go, and that ending got quite a lot of criticism. And I did. This is when we're going to talk about the character arc of Brian, and this is I do ask, well, like, why did Brian let Dom get away at the end? Because clearly, like Keanu Reeves in Point Break, he's fallen into this world. But the reason why he says, at least, it's Mia. That's what that's what he said to her when he went on that date. Like, oh no, it's Mia, and he likes drag racing clearly to an extent. But I think it'd be good, by the way, if we had a scene at the end of the movie with him going to see Mia, to see if she still wants to be with him.
Yeah,
because that's why he let Brian go, but we don't get that. So therefore, it must be that it's not actually about Mia. It's actually about it's actually about Dom. Because he let Dom go. It's actually about Dom. He actually does respect him and like him, and that's why it's not really about Mia. So if that was the case, then there should be a theme throughout the movie where Brian, feels, I guess, persecuted as a cop, like, which you kind of get, he kind of, the FBI kind of smack him around and say, oh, I'm going to pin it on you, and Brian's like, how the fuck can you pin it on me? So you get that to some extent, but, maybe he feels like in this cruise, when he joins this, like, team with Dom and everybody, like, somebody finally has his back, like, they talk about a family a lot in the next few movies, and that would have been a really good thing to incorporate into this, like Paul Walker, I don't know why I call him that, Brian O'Connor, finally feels like he's got a family in this movie. That's what he finally feels like, and he feels like at home, like he's got people who've got his back. Maybe Dom should have protected Brian in a fight or something. Let him know he's in the team. Like at the end, instead of like basically executing that Asian guy on the motorcycle, instead of doing that, what should have happened is they should have like had a fight, and then like Dom saves Brian basically at the end. To basically just saves his life.
I think that would work. Yeah, basically show how there is camaraderie among these
Yeah,
thieves,
and he hasn't
which is
got
definitely something they touch on later.
yeah, and again he hasn't got that camaraderie at the police station. That's why he decides to join Dom's world essentially. Because the thing is, you're right about like the street racing thing, because he does seem like perfectly at home with the street racing like right from the beginning. Like that's the thing, and yeah, it doesn't work the way Keanu Reeves. It works for Keanu Reeves in Point Break, because that's the thing. In Point Break, Keanu Reeves, he really struggles at surfing, of course, at the beginning. Like that's not the case for Brian in this movie. He gets into drag racing quite easily.
He was a born street racer.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. He's a born street racer. Yeah, so you need that conflict throughout the movie, like what you said before of the law and order of being a cop, and the street racer, the element of being free. But again, he seems free right from the beginning, so that doesn't work. So you got to go down the path of he feels like a family, and they just don't do that. Like his character seems very like uncomplicated. Does Brian O'Connor, just very very uncomplicated, and yeah, it just like at the end it's like I don't really know why he did it. That's the thing. Like why did he let Dom go? That's what I have to ask myself. Like why? What? Tell me, Michael. Why? Why do you think he let him go at the end?
Yeah, just because he kind of likes him. Like it's a very. I guess that's kind of the thing. It doesn't feel like a big.
Racing,
yeah, it feels like it's not like this big kind of philosophical thing where he like decides something meaningful. Like I can't bring myself to chain up Dom Toretto or something like that. It's just like I kind of like him, so I'm gonna let you go.
I kind of like him.
Just like great attitude. Like they could have had a different film about him following some bank robbers or something, and one of them lends him a cigarette or something, and he's like, oh yeah, he's kind of nice. I'll let him off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like, oh yeah,
he wouldn't even be fit to serve in a jury. He'd be the kind of one of those guys who'd be like, oh, he seems like he dresses well. I think he's probably a good guy.
He's probably innocent. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, no, he just lets him go because he likes him, and therefore it's so much worse of an ending than Point Break, which of course this movie is based off, I guess, because Point Break, Keanu Reeves lets Bodhi go because Bodhi needs to be with the waves. He needs to be free, doesn't he? Like that. You remember that, Michael? Or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and then he goes off and sails. Yeah,
can't lock him up in a cage, and it is a bit of a bullshit thing where Keanu Reeves is like, oh fuck this, I don't want to be an FBI agent anymore. Again, the reason isn't there to do it, or there's no logical reason for him to think that, in my opinion. But at least you get why he's doing it, even though there's nothing behind it. In this, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let him go because I like him.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Anything we'll say on the plot, Michael?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, yeah, good. A lot of issues with the plot, I think. But anyway, racing action next, Michael, because of course this movie has action, and it has racing action, and this is something that. Well, the other thing is it has racing action, doesn't have a lot. Particularly in the last 20 minutes, it has quite a bit, but before that, there's not that much. But I will say, it's incredible looking back at F8 and F7, and just seeing where this franchise began, like the humble beginnings. When it was when it was actually about underground street racing, and then they're fucking saving nuclear bombs in the Arctic Circle in Russia. Go from that to that, and they're jumping out of fucking hotel rooms in Dubai. Oh god, it's such humble origins, and I kind of enjoyed getting back to what this fucking franchise was meant to be about.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was kind of thinking that too. The thing is, to an extent, it's like the later films. It's entertaining in just in terms of how ridiculous it is. Whereas obviously in this case, I mean, it is a lot more basic. I do think the actual kind of framing of it, I think sometimes could have been better. I think there's a lot of, I feel like there's too many kind of close-ups. The way that they communicate, they're going really fast, is just having it really close on the character's face. They go and pull a face, and it's kind of there's not many shots. I think that actually, to an extent, the later films, as they get more ridiculous, they also kind of look a bit nicer in terms of being able to tell what's going on. As ridiculous as it is, seeing a massive wrecking ball swing down and smash a bunch of police cars that are following them, at least you can kind of see it all happening. You've got the slow motion, it kind of comes in, and you get a nice shot of it swooping through them all. In this case, it's kind of the actual framing of the racing is fine, but it's not there's no moments where you're wow, and you're kind of shocked by how impressive it all looks, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I agree. But there are some fun moments though, Michael. There are some fun moments. Let me take you back to the first drag race. When what does that girl say to Ja Rule before they get in? It's you get this. You get this one.
You get this whether you win, and if you win, you get this one too.
Yeah, and to saying it about her boobs, which is an iconic line. But the thing is, he wins. He doesn't win, and then
And she doesn't get either. She doesn't get either. Yeah, I know.
either.
Well,
What was the deal with
bitches
that?
be lying.
I know,
yeah.
right?
Well, speaking of that, I mean, I like the line where Michelle Rodriguez says, "Meow, I smell skanks." That was my favorite line.
Oh, but as well when Ja Rule shouts when he's losing, he goes, "Monica."
I really like that.
That's
too.
good. I mean, that's the thing. There's some fun stuff in that, and yeah, I guess that's the thing. That's the only actual. I mean, you get a drag race at the end between Dom and Brian, but that's the only actual other drag race involving the main characters right at the start. You think you're going to get it again, but you don't. Another couple of good moments is when you get this metal song over when the FBI are raiding the Asian gangsters.
Yes, yes.
And Michelle and Dom are basically they're having sex but with their clothes on basically.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really odd choice to have like the metal song, and then why are those two scenes intercut? Is it to show like Dom's getting away with it?
Yeah. I was thinking that like it was.
But
It was really weird to me. Yeah.
yeah, it's like oh yeah, let's cut with these guys. But the thing is, Dom had no say in them arresting these Asian people, and you could say, oh well, it's because Brian was thinking about, hey, is it going to be Dom or is it going to be these Asian people? And he's like, nah, it's these Asian people who I'm going to say are the ones doing the raids because I don't like them. But again, we did literally see evidence in 2 scenes ago of them having all this high tech equipment in their garage. So yeah, again that was a weird choice. Another really weird choice is when we get some more metal songs when Brian goes head to head with this guy in a Ferrari. Actually, to be fair, yeah, this is another drag race technically, I guess. Do you remember that?
And he says like Vin Diesel's like smoking.
Yeah. So Brian asks, "Hey, what is the retail on that car?" And the guy for some
More
reason
than you
goes,
can afford.
Yeah, more than you can afford. And then Vin Diesel goes, "Smoke him." Like, it's just such a fucking... And then you get like metal music over that. Again, just like
Yeah. I was watching this film in the same room as my dad, and when Vin Diesel said that, I instinctively just went, "Smoke him." And my dad looked at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Smoke him. Yeah, I mean, it's it's funny, isn't it? That's the thing, like, those kind of scenes, again, they're ridiculous, and they don't come up that much in this movie. Mainly the real issue with why this movie is quote unquote bad is because of its lazy writing. I think that's probably the best. Like just like the poor like plot progressions and like the poor not building up to like Brian's character enough, for instance. But there are a couple of moments like that when he's racing the Ferrari, which are which are quite fun, which we like, don't we, Michael? We like those moments. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that. Anything else to say, Michael?
The only thing I wanted to say, which kind of is adjacent to the whole racing thing, and we sort of touched on it a bit with, I mentioned about Ja Rule, which is the whole, like, sex thing. I just think, so obviously these films were, and I think, I kind of get the impression, actually, that this is an area where they became less extreme in this regard, but I kind of get the impression with the early films, these films are, like, for men, and obviously you've got, like, the fast cars, and it's, like, extreme, but then also you just have these random shots of, like, women, and I think the big one where I was like, yeah, this is for like just guys to be like, oh, fast cars, hot girls, is when this girl gets out of a car and she's just randomly in a school uniform. And I was like, okay, that's. Do you remember? I think it's when they're doing the.
Is she Asian?
Race. Yeah, she's Asian. She's just in a school uniform. And he's yeah, okay,
maybe maybe that's something to do with the fact that. I don't know. That's what they. The thing is, I'm thinking of Tokyo Drift, and I think that they do that in Tokyo Drift as well.
Yeah, I guess it's something they like to dress up like schoolgirls.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just there's at drag races in Tokyo. Schoolgirls turn up. So why don't we have an Asian person wear a schoolgirl uniform in our drag race here in Los Angeles? I don't know.
But basically, I mean, obviously, it's just. I mean, I don't know if there's any kind of feminist analysis of the Fast and Furious movies, but I think it's pretty obvious that.
You should do a video on it.
What's that expression?
That'd be right.
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, they say the male gaze, like like the idea of catering to the male gaze.
Silence of the Lambs. That was a big article.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's kind of the case here. It's like.
Well, obviously,
obviously, yeah. The presence of the women is there so that men can go.
But to be fair, no. But to be fair, Michelle Rodriguez is in this, and she's not just a girlfriend.
She's not hot.
She actually joins in doing it. She smokes some guy who's like, "Oh, I'm going to beat you," and then she hits the nose and then she smokes it. So you know what? There's some female representation.
It's pretty progressive actually.
You know what? It could be worse. I will say that. That's the thing. I think we talked about it a bit in when we reviewed Fast and Furious 8, the sexism.
Oh yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
and I think I remember saying it was more than what I expected, but I think this is probably less than I expected in this movie. The sexism stuff. I have to say
Yeah.
it's probably less than I thought rewatching it. But yeah, I think again it's it's still there. Obviously they know who their core demographic is, but I will say it could probably be worse. So there you go. Take from that what you will. Time to conclude now, Michael. Do you want to go first or shall I?
I'll go
Okay, you go
first.
first.
So basically, this film is well, I mean, pretty much my criticism of it is that it's not quite as entertaining as the later films in terms of just being completely ridiculous. I think it really gets the films get in a way more enjoyable after The Rock shows up, because at that point it is just stupid, and that's kind of good in its own way. And I think to an extent you can make an argument. My memory is that the other films we're going to review are so bad in an entertaining way as well, not quite in being ridiculous, but just in being just bad. Whereas this film, I think, just comes across comparatively as like a little bit pointless, because it is a bit like, if I want to watch a Fast and Furious film, to be honest, I'm probably going to be like, well, the Fast and Furious, okay, what do I know from Fast and Furious? It's just ridiculous films about people with cars and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to really be like, okay, I'm going to watch a film from like Fast 5 through to Fate of the Furious, because those are the films which are just so ridiculous that you can't help but be entertained by them. This film, by comparison, feels a little stilted, I think is the term I'm looking for. And with that said, I think I'm actually going to give it a... and of course, there are some genuine kind of issues with the writing and the plot. It is, as you said, lazily written. So it's not as if it's kind of a well-written script, but it's a poorly written script, and it doesn't really have like fantastic amounts of over-the-top action to compensate for that. There are quite a few stretches that are just boring, and dialogue that's a bit groany in terms of just how unrealistic it feels. A few people who sound like kind of video game characters, like some of the extras and stuff. So with all of that said, I'm going to give it a low 5. No, actually, I'm going to give it a high 4, because I think the reality that's a bit boring to watch knocks it down further. So yeah, a high 4 out of 10.
Okay, Michael. So my conclusion, I think obviously, it's a rip-off of Point Break, and yes, that is the case. But it does work. I mean, the concept works at least. I do think the concept works with the Point Break, I guess plot structure they're going for. I will say again, Brian is not as good as the Keanu Reeves character, Johnny Utah. He's a lot weaker, and he's. And again, the reason why he just lets Dom go at the end is because he likes him rather than any philosophical reason. And yeah, it's just not as good as Point Break in that regard at all. And that's something that I guess is disappointing looking back on. Just a lot weaker in a lot of aspects with his character. How he falls into this world. And why he gets drawn in, and why he decides to let him go at the end. Yeah, it's just not as good, which is unfortunate. And again, a lot of the plot is it's just lazy. Like that's how it seems. It is just all lazy. Like the fact that they go to Johnny Tran's garage and see this equipment, which turns out to not be the equipment which is stolen, and then of course the back-to-back scenes of Dom actually beat up this guy. Oh no, he only beat up this guy because his garage got because his dad killed. Oh no, he only beat up this guy because he killed his dad in a racing incident. Oh, so maybe Dom isn't good. I don't know what to think about this guy. And again, it's just so lazy and hacky. But I still think, Michael, that it's better than. I mean, you compared it to previous Fast and Furious movies. I still think it's better than the Fast and Furious 8. I'm just looking at what I gave Fast and Furious 8, Michael, and I gave it a 3.5. I'm gonna probably put this at a 5. What did you give it again, Michael? What did you give this movie?
I give it a high 4.
A high 4. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I'm giving it a 5. Again, comfortably better than that. Again, like there are some like ridiculous moments, and it's incompetent. But I get there is a good stretch. Again, I'll mention that 10-minute stretch. And when Dom does find out that Brian's a cop, it does work quite well. So yeah, I think. Again, I think overall I look at this movie and I'm like, it could be worse. And again, I'll say what I said at the start. If this was just one movie, and the rest of the franchise didn't happen, people wouldn't look back and the Fast and Furious and laugh at it because, of course, it has a reputation. And this movie, yeah, again, it's not the best. It's far from it, but it wouldn't have a reputation of this is really bad. Like this is one of those that's so bad it's good. Oh God, this movie, if it was just on its own, it would not elicit an eye roll if someone mentioned it, basically. But anyway, Michael, that's our conclusion of the Fast and the Furious. Anyway, Michael, we've got some receipts now to go through, of course, because we last week predicted In the Heights, or In the Heights, the new Lin-Manuel Miranda movie, what that was going to get on Rotten Tomatoes. You said 86. I said 89 because the critic loved Hamilton, and so I was like, they'll love this movie as well. And oh boy, was I right? It was even higher.
Yeah,
because than I thought. Because in actual fact, it's got a score of 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, you're a bit behind there, pal. So you get 10 points. Of course, the more points you get, the worse you do. And I only get 7 points. So go me. That means that you have currently 16 points. And I have 10 points. So that means, unlucky, which means I am now 6 ahead of you, Michael. Anyway, there we go. What are we doing next week?
Next week, we are doing Too Fast, Too Furious, the second one.
Like we said at the start, it's Zoom June, as you said. So, yeah, Too Fast, Too Furious, and oh boy, am I looking forward to reviewing that movie. I talked about how this movie did not elicit an eye roll. I don't think you could say the same for Too Fast, Too Furious. Anyway, thank you for listening. We've been selecting and reflecting on The Fast and the Furious because of its 20-year anniversary and the eventual release of F9. Join us next week for Too Fast, Too Furious. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Goodbye.